Okay, Dennis Young here, podcast. Thanks for coming on the channel. Please subscribe. This is the Primitive Substance channel where we get a lot of creative musicians, people involved with music. And today we have a real special guest, the two who run the ProgStock Festival or shows up in North Jersey in October. And we're going to go over some of the bands that are playing and talk to Tom and how they got their start here and how this got going. So, Tom, thanks for coming on, and so let's hear how this all got started, the ProgStock event.
Sure, I can try to yeah, I can try to explain how it all got started. You know, it's a story I've told before in slightly different ways, only because, you know, things don't start like that, right? They
Right,
they kind
of
of
course.
evolve. The first time we did that, I did this with my first volunteer crew of people was in 2017. Anne actually joined the team, as it were, for the festival in 2018,
Okay.
and then has been with us and with me ever since. And although she attended the first one in 2017 because she was tour managing one of the bands
Oh,
that
okay.
played in that year, which people probably know as the Dave Kersner Band.
Okay.
Um,
Yes. And so
as
this stuff.
always, I give a shout out to Dave Kersner and say thank you for introducing me to Anne. So,
There you go. That's great. So, how
yeah,
did you start in Rawway,
yeah,
right? And then you moved up to Rutherford?
yeah. So that's true. So basically, we started out in Rahway. That was the first kind of um, uh, location that we were able to find. It was in late 20. I spent, along with another person from my volunteer squad, we spent about 3 or 4 months straight trying to find a place
Hmm.
in New Jersey that would meet all the requirements,
Okay.
or or at least come close. And that was a harder thing, harder nut to crack than I originally thought it might be, because it was difficult to find something with every single checkbox checked, right?
Hmm.
And it was probably goofy for me to assume I could. In
Yeah.
a great theater in the beginning in Rahway that checked most of them, and so we started there, and then we did 2017, 18, and 19 there.
Okay.
And then, of course, 2020 was the lockdown year with
Right.
COVID.
Yes.
And so that turned into us running a virtual festival with no actual attendees and purely live streaming it. And we
Hmm.
actually did one of those days in Rahway at the same
Same venue.
day in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, to go closer to the bands that were not allowed to travel into New Jersey
Right.
because of
Right.
COVID rules.
Okay.
And then in 21 and 22, we were also, in Rahway. But then it started became clear that what we wanted to do with the festival just really couldn't continue existing in that space, because it didn't check enough of the boxes to where the festival was evolving, which was to be more than just music. It's also other curiosities going on, other things to do, other events that we wanted to have, that just the theater in Rahway just
Hmm.
didn't have the room for it outside of the actual seated theater. So we went on a little bit of a hunt for a while, over a few years, and actually one of our audience members, who actually became a 5-year patron of the festival, the two of them, a married couple who
Right.
live in Rutherford,
Oh.
brought the Williams Center to our attention the year before we actually moved. And
So along with the music that you have, which we'll go over, so do you have seminars or do you have just, I know Paul Whitehead attends because I interviewed him, but do you also
yeah,
do, yeah, uh, seminars or do you have talks with some of the artists?
yeah, yeah. So I mean, what it's gotten to now, what it's evolved into, is there's, the musical performances. We also have a event that kicks off the festival on Thursday evening, which
Okay,
we think of as the pre-festival event. It's kind of a party.
got it.
People can attend for a relatively low ticket price, and the crew that are about to get really, really, really tired for the next 3 days
Yeah.
can enjoy on that
Oh,
night.
okay.
Usually a tribute act and a couple other things. We also have a jam, which we call Last Call Live, which is a sort of purposely scheduled jam where people um, nominate songs and then agree to play certain positions on those songs.
I
So a
like
band comes
that.
together that maybe people who know each other but have not played together or not played that song together,
Okay.
and they really have no rehearsal time. They just come together and play it. It's very similar to a few other events called Prog on the Ranch down in Florida,
I don't know
and
that.
also an event called Late Night Live, which happens on Cruise to the Edge
I was wondering about
most of the
that.
nights.
Yeah, I was going to ask you
Hmm.
about that. Sounds like Cruise
Yep.
to the Edge, where I've seen some
Yeah.
clips of artists playing, songs with each other.
Yes.
That's
Yeah. And
nice.
I remember being on the first Cruise to the Edge where the kind of the beginnings, the genesis, if you will, pardon the pun,
Ah,
of that, the After Hours Electric Prog Jam or AHEPJ, which has now become Late Night Live.
yeah.
And the gentleman who runs that on Cruise to the Edge and has for the last many years is the gentleman who runs our Last Call Live at ProgStock on Thursday night and actually is our production manager for the entire weekend.
Ah,
So
I'm going
there's
to
a
try
lot
to.
of
I'm going to try to make it to that.
yeah, I hope you can. I hope you
I,
can. And then, like you said, there are other things too. So we have some special events, like we have this year acoustic intimate performance that's going to be performed by Melanie Mao and Martin Schnella for our 5-year patrons and our who we call producers, or our people who kind of buy the higher level ticket package
oh, okay.
and get a few perks with that. We're also going to have another special event that's going to be announced shortly. Uh,
Hmm.
I don't know when this will air, so I don't know if it'll be announced by
Uh,
then.
couple weeks, Bill. I'll have it up, or a week.
It's very possible it'll be, and has yet not received the ink mark on the contract, if you will.
Okay.
But we're working on something special for Saturday and Sunday mornings. And then um, my or our entertainment lawyer, a gentleman by the name of Ron Beanstock, will be doing a seminar either Saturday or Sunday in the afternoon for musicians in the audience who want to learn how rights work so that you understand how
Oh.
to keep hold of your music and also turn it into potential revenue generation for you. So
Hmm.
that's going to be helpful to those members of our audience who happen to also be musicians, which are quite a lot. Um, we'll also have fine art exhibits from a lot of fine artists. Paul Whitehead, you've already mentioned,
Yeah.
who has been with us for so many years now. In fact, last year we had both Paul Whitehead and Trisha Van Cleef with
Oh, wow. That's
for our wedding
something.
last year at the festival. Um, yeah, and Michael Bennett, who is the person who runs the Prog Day Festival in
Right.
North Carolina, which is currently the U.S.'s longest running progressive rock festival. He is also a fine artist, and he'll bring his wares.
Hmm.
This year, we will also have the paintings of Patrick Moraz, as well
Oh,
as Annie Haslam from Renaissance.
wow. I didn't
So
know Patrick
they'll be in
Moraz was
attendance.
I didn't know he was an artist. Patrick Moraz. Wow. That's something.
His artwork this year, as well as his performance this year. We also have, merchandise stations from a few of our partners, so people can buy lots of different things if they wish. And we'll also have our partners at EMEAP, the Electronic Music Education and Preservation Project.
Hmm.
These are the folks in Pennsylvania who have a museum of sorts of
I've been
a
there.
whole slew of
Yes.
historic. You've seen it.
Yep.
We've got our last trip down there was a handful of months ago to the festival. So we'll see what they're going to bring this year.
Hmm.
And I guess the last thing I can think of is that this is something that's become kind of a tradition over the last 4 or 5 years. I would have said 3 or 4 years.
Okay.
Um, there's since our festival happens in October, and sometime very often it's early October, sometimes it's later October. It's still the whole fall feel here in New Jersey, and Halloween is
Right.
right around the
Yep.
corner. So one of our artists will is who use pumpkin as a medium to do
Hmm.
actual sculpture. So this is not make a jack-o'-lantern. This is how to use a pumpkin as a medium to produce extremely interesting artwork.
Wow.
And so they'll be in attendance
Ah.
and carving all weekend long. And their leader, Dean Arnold, has been featured on the Food Network. in Halloween Wars and Outrageous Pumpkins. He's been a
Mm,
judge, he's been a participant, and his team are all relative.
wow,
Dean
this
is
is fantastic.
actually our audience some carving lessons during one of our breaks if they wish to learn how to become pumpkin carvers themselves.
Now, what starts Thursday night and Friday? What time? What are the hours that are going to be for this, so the audience knows?
Sure. So we're gonna let's see. We're gonna the format is fairly standard now. So Thursdays we get started in the evening
Okay,
for our pre party or our pre festival event. Music hits the ground pretty quickly around 6:30.
okay,
And then this year we'll have a couple of performances, and then we'll have the last call live jam, which will go until 2 in the morning for those stalwart
oh
members
wow,
who are going
yeah,
to be there and sticking it out. The Friday kicks off, generally speaking, a little later in the day. Not for us on the crew and the
right,
production team, but for the audience.
okay.
The first event that occurs on Friday actually starts at 1 p.m.
Oh, okay, afternoon, okay,
and producers who gain access to one of the first special events of the festival. For the rest of the public, the doors are at about 3 or 3:30,
okay,
or 2:30 or 3, I think this year. And then it's on our website what the schedule is every year. But
okay.
then that starts the entire afternoon and evening of music, where there will be two full sets. One, in the mid-afternoon about 4 o'clock, and one later in the evening at 8:30.
Now,
And
is
then
there? Go ahead.
Saturday and yeah, Saturday and Sunday, there are special events in the morning at 10 a.m.
Hmm,
for our attendees to those special events, and then the main doors will open a little about I think about 11 o'clock, and then the first sets will start this year at 11:30 in the morning.
wow, it's early. Okay, that's good. So you got a full day
Yeah.
of things happening. That is great. I
Oh
didn't
yeah.
realize with such a big event, besides the music, this is really, really well done. That's great. So let's talk a little bit about some of the
Well, to be
artists.
fair, it's evolved into this, right?
Uh,
This was
right,
yeah.
sounds it. So let's talk a little bit about the artists that are going to be coming here to play. You got Discipline, Flaming Row, Funhouse Mirrors. Is there any in particular you want to talk about that the the listeners should be aware of, or this? There's got a
Well,
lot
I
of
could talk
great
about all of
artists.
these.
Yeah. Well, you could.
Yeah, and it's quite a mixture. And every year there will be in the progressive rock circles, there will be some performers that people are already familiar with,
Mm,
some that they're only slightly familiar with or heard of, and some that they've never heard of. And that's
well,
our
that's
goal every
me.
year,
That's
right? Yeah,
me for sure. That's
right.
for sure.
So obviously our big jewel for the weekend, that we this was a deal that we've been working on for a couple of years, come to the festival this year and perform as a solo artist, his H Natural project, which is the big headliner on Sunday night for us. So that's definitely something that we're very much looking forward to. And he'll be playing a very nice grand piano that we'll have for him,
Mm,
and for a few others throughout the weekend. So that's going to be something that this year we're extremely proud of. And H was very, very, very gracious to work with us.
mm,
He actually attended special guest, and we had a couple of Q&A sessions that we
mm.
hosted with our audience and him, kind of as a precursor to let everyone know that yes, he is actually coming to the festival in the next year, and that's this year. So
That's
he'll be with us.
great. So
And
you broke up a little bit. Who was that again? That's going to be the headliner. Who's the
I'm sorry.
headliner?
Okay, that's Steve Hogarth.
Oh yeah, okay, got it.
The
Okay,
Yeah, right,
great. And I see Rachel Flowers
right.
is
That's
going to
not, he will be
be,
with us, and that's something we're very proud of.
and you have Rachel Flowers coming, right?
Yeah, Rachel is invited every year.
Mm,
She's a perennial for us. And we kind of feel like it's not the same if she can't make it, but
yeah.
we press on even if she can't. But I think She's been with us every year, possibly except for 1 year. Um,
Okay.
and we have a couple of acts, just a couple that are perennials for us. And on the other side of the coin, if you will, where
Sure.
Steve Hogarth is probably very, very recognizable
Right.
as the lead singer of Marillion and probably
Mm.
very recognizable in the prog world. On the other side of that coin is a band that didn't exist until about 1 month ago.
Okay.
And that's a band called Gazer.
Okay.
So on the other end of the spectrum, if you will, is a band that uh, um, our great and dear friend Michael Sadler of Saga
Mm.
um, wanted to be in a band with
Mm.
his son, Saren. Instead of it just being a one-off or, you know, things that some of our audiences have seen in the past few years where Saren and his father have played together. He wanted to have a true working band with his son.
Oh,
And
that's great.
that wish was kind of breathed out immediately. I believe Michael Sadler's wife, another great friend of ours, Gwen,
Mm.
and my wife, Anne, started talking, and 2 weeks later there was a band.
Oh, that's
um,
great.
so
Wow.
so so this
That's really
band will
good.
be debuting new material and some cover material at the very first live performance they will have ever had, which is opening for Steve Hogarth
Oh,
on
it
Sunday
is.
night of
Oh,
our
that's going
festival.
to be
So there you
something.
have
Ooh, that's a powerhouse lineup there.
the
That
two
that's
known
going to be
and the no
great.
one's ever heard of.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah,
Now there's a local band,
yeah,
Funhouse Mirrors.
yeah,
Are they from New Jersey? Funhouse
yeah,
Mirrors? Because I was going
yeah.
to interview them.
There's actually two. Yeah, there's actually two bands on the roster this year from New Jersey, and that happens very frequently at ProgStock. We do lean towards having some local representation. This year, Funhouse Mirrors will be performing on stage. They are a relatively new young band.
Hmm.
They've been doing it for they've been each of them have been getting through school and into later endeavors. They've actually been friends of ours and part of the festival uh, uh, audience for a number of years.
Okay.
And we've done listening parties with their releases over the last 2 years. And so this year they will actually have a performance slot on stage. And that's currently scheduled for Saturday as the one of the first sets.
Hmm. Boy, how do you handle all the equipment for a event like this? Because I imagine there's probably a lot of keyboards involved and drums and man.
Yeah, there is. Honestly, the first thing I'll say about that is we have a really great production process. We have people who are really great at, managing the production and
Hmm.
how to do things smoothly. And that's a combination of our own team plus the theater's own professionals. So they work
Hmm.
together, and we've got that pretty well oiled now. This will be our third year there. Um,
Okay.
and The other thing I'll say is that we do our best working in conjunction with all the bands to kind of work together and compromise on what equipment they're bringing versus
I can imagine.
we're supplying, so that there's less equipment around, a little bit less movement, try to make more efficient the changeovers and the movement. So that's something that the production team works on for months in
Hmm.
advance of
I'm
the festival
sure.
with the musicians. So, but
Now,
when it comes to the actual days to do the work, sometimes there's a fly in the ointment, and everyone figures out how to solve the problems because no plan survives contact with the enemy,
well,
right?
that's true. But the key to these shows is a good sound engineer. And I'm sure you have somebody working the board that is very good. You have to be for an
We
event
do, and
like
we've
this.
been grooming people. Yeah, I mean the theater's own people are really good at it, so they help us out, but we also have someone from our team who
Hmm.
has, prior experience in situations like this, both on sound and lights.
Now, is Sally Minner, is that the daughter of one of the members, Carrie of Gentle Giant? Is that related at all?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Sally, who is a dear friend of ours and is one of those people becoming a perennial, along
Right.
with her partner in crime, Dave Bainbridge.
Oh,
But Sally Muneer is definitely, yes, Carrie's. There's always an open invitation out to her father to come and
oh
join us.
yeah.
We always would love to
I'm
have him.
sure it here. Yeah.
Yeah, but
Oh, that's
yeah,
great. I was
yeah, that's the
wondering about
Sally.
that
Mhm.
because I saw, wow, that looked very familiar. And I'm sure the genes run down the family tree, I'm sure, for
Oh,
talent.
absolutely. She is a brilliant musician. She has an angelic voice.
Mm,
It is stunning to hear her perform.
I want to hear that. I definitely want to check that out. So how much what is this? Is there
Mhm.
tickets left to the event? First thing I want to ask.
Yeah, there are.
Okay, good.
Yeah, so it's not too hard to get tickets at the current moment. Um, both 3-day tickets and single-day tickets. You'll just have to, choose them on the map. A lot of the really, really, really good seats have been taken already by people who were
Okay.
buying earlier because we went on sale in April, but you can still get tickets. So all you click on the tickets link in the navigation menu, and it will explain everything and take you to our box office.
Mm,
And yeah, just please join us if
yeah,
you can.
I'm going to promote it. And if any of the other artists want to come on for a few minutes and talk about their music, or I have a lot of prog subscribers here that really like good music, not just prog, but all types of creative music. So you're welcome to talk to some of the
Um,
bands or
um,
artists.
you mean for Yeah, yeah. I can even try and help you with that if you like. If there's some of these artists on our roster this year who might want to spend some time with you,
That would be great.
I can try to make that happen.
That would be great
Hmm.
because I would love to, especially some of the new artists, to give them some promotion here so they come out, people come out to the show and see them. That really helps.
Yeah.
So what in the past, what you've had this since 2017. Has there been any moments that you can remember that bands have played or artists that really made an influence on you or and
Yeah,
I'm
there's a
sure you
lot
had
of
a
those
lot.
moments.
I'm sure.
Yeah, and there's always every year there's something that
Hmm.
really gets us right where it hits, right where something emotional, some sort of emotional reaction occurs
Hmm.
or some sort of is created. But the ones that I hearken to the most, and again, I hate any situation where I'm asked to pick a favorite anything
That's true.
or
That's
a most
true.
special anything because there's so many, and to rate them and to scale them is hard
Right.
for me to do, and I also fear making others feel
That's true. You're
kind
right.
of
That's true.
cast aside, right? But I will say this, you know, I would say, that very first set in 2017 when we put Rachel Flowers, Peter Jones, and Francis Dunnery together on stage and basically sat for an hour or so.
Oh my
And
gosh.
they did. And what they came up with was incredible. They did obviously individual performances of things and then ensemble performances of things that they blew everyone's mind.
Hmm.
And it was such an incredible when that first set that sticks in the mind, not only because of the sheer talent and how amazing the performance was,
Yeah.
but the fact that it was the first thing on our stage and it
Oh
got
wow.
through and everything. Everybody loved every minute of it. Referred to YouTube video of our performances is of
Wow.
Rachel Flowers playing in 2017 the entire Tarkus suite on the Fazioli piano that we had, just her and a
Wow.
microphone, and it was stunning. Um,
Jeez.
it still gives me goosebumps. Um, and then going way later to last year,
Hmm.
Probably the other thing in my mind is the festival ended on Sunday night. We went back on the stage one more time, Anne and myself, and we're married with
Oh,
Pat Mastelotto
congratulations.
as our deacon.
Oh,
So
Pat.
we were married by not only, obviously people know him as a drummer for King Crimson,
Yep.
but I of course knew him from my childhood as one of the founding members of one of my favorite 80s bands, Mr. Mister.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
and of course our Adler and his wife Gwen, our great friends David and Linda Belfield in Rutherford, who were the ones who turned us on to the Williams
Yeah.
Center a few years back, and our flower girl, Trisha Van
Oh,
Cleef.
wow.
So it was really great to be able to do that because where better to have a wedding where when you already
Yeah.
have a few hundred of your closest friends forced to stay in the building.
Wow. Well, speaking of Pat, I actually got a chance to
Yeah.
interview him, and it's going to debut next week on the channel. One of the nicest guys in music, really. And he's so busy. I mean, he never stops. More stuff happening.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm hoping to see him on one of his tours this year, maybe on the Tuner tour if they come back around, or on the Stickmen tour. And I will definitely see him in August at King Crimson Camp, and when we go up
Oh,
there to see him and Adrian and Tony, that's going to be a lot of fun.
well, I was telling him that I got to see Stickmen at a little bar in Broadway called Roxy and Duke's about four or
Oh,
five
that's
years
in
ago.
Dunellen. It was in Dunellen.
Yes.
Yeah, that was in Dunellen. Yeah, and unfortunately, we all know that that's gone now,
Yeah,
right?
it's too
So
bad. They had a great sound system, and to see those
yeah,
superstars in that small little room like that was such a treat. So this sounds like quite an event coming
yes,
up,
yes.
and so we'll just go to your website for tickets, information, and I'm gonna try to make it, and hopefully some of the listeners here can make it and watch it. See if we can make the shows.
That'd be great. Really
Eh,
appreciate it.
That'd be good. And if we get anybody else wants to join in the coming months, just get in touch and we'll make it happen. Okay,
Awesome.
Tom, this has been a pleasure and good luck with the preparation and congratulations on such a great event you have every year.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate your
Okay.
time.
Okay. Take care. See you. Bye bye.
Take care.